Hey everyone, welcome to the show. You're live on Professor Bassett. Hey everyone, as you can see, it's not me and Tony tonight. This is not Tony. He has not had an extreme makeover, although if he had, he would look so much better.
So much better.
Tony has passed away, and we shall have a moment of silence for him. Okay, that's enough. No, Tony isn't feeling well. He came down with some crud, and I talked to him today, so I asked the old pork taco to come on. And we're going to visit tonight a little bit about our trip and some things that we encountered. So, how are you, Pork?
Doing fantastic. Glad to be here. I don't know if I can fill these shoes or not, but I'll sure give it a try.
I think you can. I think you are a seasoned veteran with us. Overland Exploits. Hey, appreciate you being here. Man, it's hot out where you are. Golly, Oklahoma is cooking right now. Arkansas is cooking. I think it was 108 tiered today. I saw Bink posted it was like 110
Holy
around
moly.
Oklahoma City. Just unfreaking real.
Well,
it's just horrible. Hey, good evening, Gen Xers. Appreciate you being here. Pork, last week we talked about rooftop tents, and we talked about how what we had thought would work for us was completely changed.
Yeah.
By the time we went, I think you went through that as well, didn't you?
I did, and actually I bought a tent and never slept in it at night, and decided it was just going to take a little too long to put up and take down that I was willing to do in a day's time. I didn't want to hold the group up, so I went ahead and sold it and picked up a new iCamper Mini 3. And, love the tent. The mattress was not, big man friendly. So I suffered through that while we was out there. And then, you loaned me that mattress you had with you, which is the only way I was able to sleep at all with the bad back and all. But the first thing I done when I got home was ordered a new mattress. Now that makes a world of difference. We've already had it out. It sleeps better in our bed in the house.
Nice.
So,
and you went with the Xped, right?
That Xped 10 Duo, I think, is the official name of it.
Yeah, that's the same one I have. So
yeah.
And that's exactly what Tony and I talked about last week, was that the tent that he had was similar to the one that you had, but for one person, it was just a little too much. And so, you wanted something that was one person friendly that you could put up and take down. And man, I tell you what, after camping with you a couple of times, and when we camped in at Tony's place, because we met at Tony's place, that was the first time you had ever slept in it. Man, we went from there, went straight to New Mexico, went straight to Colorado, stayed at the Great Sand Dunes, and man, by then you had it up and down in no time. So it was not a big deal at all.
No, not at all.
That was the deal. 2014 taco. You're going to have to change the silhouette on your T-shirt. It's chunky. I think he's talking about this.
Yeah, I think so.
On here because it's a little wider than I am now. If you don't follow me on Facebook, or if we're not friends on Facebook, you haven't seen my journey of weight loss. I'm down 52 pounds and a lot less of me. And it's terrible because I bought all these clothes back when we were at Big Iron, and they're a little too big. I don't have anything that'll fit. But yeah, my bro pose on here is a little chunky, but I mean, I can live with it. That's the
It's still cool. It's still pretty cool.
Still cool. and Overland Exploits, he says, "Yeah, I'm not quick setup takedown friendly." Yeah, a lot of people are that way, and that's what we talked about last week. Preparing for a trip on your own. Eventually you'll go out by yourself. Well, of course, there was three of us, two of us for a few days, and then three of us for several days. And you don't want to have to rely on somebody else, especially if you're putting up and taking down every day. So that's kind of what we talked about,
Three of us,
finding what was
two of
best
us
for
for a
us,
few days, and then
and
three of
being able to take it down and without any help. And I'm with you. I don't want to be the last guy out there
Yeah.
that's putting up everything and taking it down. But I can tell you this. And what I wanted to talk about tonight was cooking devices, because I can tell you that on this trip, I thought I had everything figured out. I thought I had my whole setup figured out. And this was a big test. This was going to be started out 4 to 5 week test, ended up being about a 3 week test. But we put up and took down every single day. I mean, from the day that I left on May 27th, I think is what it was. That Friday, went to Tony's, went straight to New Mexico, went straight to Colorado the day after that. We put up and took down every single day.
Every day.
We only ate out 2 times that I can remember, maybe 3.
I think it was 2.
And if you count the one time when we got to Big Iron with Chris and Rhino, that would have made 3.
Yeah.
But I don't count that because that was unexpected. But we cooked or prepared meals every single day. And so I had bought my dream stove. This was my dream stove. I had got the Partner Steel 22-inch. Absolutely have loved this stove since day one. Aaron got him at Artemis, and I was on cloud 9. And the reason was because they shut my school down for COVID for like 3 days. And what I did was I didn't have anything to do. So I went up there and I worked in his shop, and in exchange for this stove. So I worked for gear. That's pretty much what I did. And so it ended up being a perfect deal for me. I brought this stove home. I was on cloud 9. I did, high kicks and everything. And I thought I had it all. I thought I had it all done. I thought I was done. I had built and created its own drawer where it pulls out again, wasn't in the way of my fridge. I had it completely perfectly plumbed to the 11-pound tank that's mounted by the Badak, 11-pound tank mount. And I thought that was it. This is what I had prepared to cook in. This is my Lodge, no handle. It's got 2 little bitty handles, and I like it doesn't have a long handle on it. This is kind of like a little skillet, cast iron. And I think you like this so much you went and bought one of these.
I did. Yes, I did.
Cooked several things on this. Now I have something that's a lot like it that I cooked on as well. This is actually a Skriddle. This is steel, and I love this. Use this quite a bit. So I don't really know why I have 2 things that are almost identical. It's just me. They're not identical though, because one's iron and one's steel. So you gotta have both. And I had my trusty percolator. This is what I always make my coffee in, and always make trail rated coffee. So and that's what I had planned to do. I had my Timbo Tuscatl with me because I had planned, I do most of my meals on the Scottle. Now, I have to admit, I was going through this time of weight loss where I had super high blood pressure. I was trying to eat healthy, and my menu was a little bit different than normal. And so I had taken several things that I wouldn't normally take, but still had a menu where I thought would work out. And we took a lot of food.
Yes,
we took a lot of food. And so, that was pretty much my setup. I had the Scottle, and I had the Skriddle. I had the cast. I also have a cast iron chicken fryer to do Dutch oven things, but we couldn't have a fire, so I never used it. And then I also had my Minimo, my JetBoil Minimo as a backup. because I always like taking two different kinds of fuel in case I run out of propane. I always have the butane, so I always have a backup. So that was pretty much my setup that I thought I would be using the whole time for everything that I had a way to cook everything, had all the food that I needed. We had prepped, vacuum sealed, taken all the food, and I wanted to be able to take all the food with me so that way I wouldn't be using any money while I was out there to buy food because I knew I'd be using so much money on fuel. And so I was prepping for that. I was getting ready for that. So I thought I had it ready. And things changed a little bit. But before we get into that, how had you planned to prepare your food?
Well, during the early stages of the build in my truck, I had about 9 pieces of cast iron, but I was still using at the time the Coleman fuel stove and the Coleman propane stove. So
Hmm.
I was using it's pretty bulky, but I have so much stuff that was in my deck system in the back of the truck, the weight was killing me.
Hmm.
And this was early on in the build while I was out testing the products. I was like, something's got to give. So at the time, I had only had the Jetboil Flash. So I went ahead and bit the bullet and bought the Genesis Base Camp, which is the entire cook system with the big pot and the big pan and both of the
Right.
Jetboil ovens. And then I ended up getting the Luna stove for a third. And I practiced with it a couple times and I fell in love with it. So I decided to get a couple more pieces of Jetboil and I got rid of all the cast iron until we got out there. And then I fell in love with that one pan you had. And I bought one of those at a Walmart or Lowe's, wherever we was at. But it shaved so much weight. You know, those cast irons average 20, 22 pounds a piece. And I had 9 of them.
Hmm.
All of my Jetboils put together, I have the whole base camp, the Sumo, the Mini Mo, the Mighty Mo, and I can't remember what the other one is, but I got another one.
You
But
didn't have the mini mo at the time.
at the time, I got it once. It was waiting on me when we got home.
Yeah.
But all of those together don't weigh what 2 pieces of that cast iron did. And while we were out, every meal that I cooked was prepared with the Jetboil systems. I ain't even going to read that, but the Jetboil systems, except for that one morning where we used your scuttle to make biscuits.
Yeah.
All the other meals that I prepared the entire time we were gone was on one piece or the other of the Jetboil.
Yeah. Well, your wife. For those of you who are not watching, you're listening. Porker's wife has commented on his use of, and I quote, testing out. He means the first time we went camping for an overnight stay with 2 preteen boys, he had, I think, 14 different cooking apparatuses.
Got to find out what's going to work.
Got to find out what's going to work.
You got to have backups just in case one fails.
Got to have backups.
She's not exaggerating. She is telling 100% truth there.
Yeah. And if you're listening out there, I see we've got several people listening. Tell us what you have tried and tested as far as cooking apparatuses, because I want to know. There's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of stoves. There's a lot of pots, a lot of pans. Now, I was very impressed with your Genesis system. That seemed like a super cool system. I love the pots that come with it.
I do too.
Now, most of them seemed way too big for me. For like a one-person thing. Now, if you had a family of 4, they would have been absolutely perfect. Most of them were really big.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that Sumo that you had was very interesting.
Yeah.
It seemed like a lot of like a good one-person type thing.
Yeah,
but it had its own its own burner and stuff, though, didn't it? You didn't actually cook with it on the Genesis.
Yeah. Each one of the Jetboil platforms that I have has its own burner system, but I'd taken my scuttle and all that stuff. I didn't get none of it out the whole time we were gone because the ease of use with the the jet boils, just it's a game changer in my opinion for two reasons. It's easy to set up, it's easy to use, it's super easy to clean. I don't know what they make their pans and canisters out of, but they bring a whole new meaning to nonstick.
Yeah.
You know, I've seared steak in my pans to rub it on a piece of cast iron for hours to clean it. And you basically, you know, use hot soapy water and you can wipe it right out of there. It's amazing.
Yeah. Let's see. Overland exploits, Coleman 2-burner, Coleman 4-in-1, 10-inch cast iron. And he says, you know, he's got a trailer, and trailer is another story. And I'm the same way. If I'm just taking my vehicle, it's one way. But if I'm taking the trailer, I know I'm going to be in some place for a couple of days. It's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
So Gen Xer says just built the bullet on the JetBoil base camp. Still working on waiting to break it out.
You won't be sorry.
I can tell you this. And we had somebody comment when I posted that we were going to be talking about this, and they said, talk me out of buying this base camp. But every single person that has it loves it. I haven't seen one single person on social media that has it and does not like it. Every single person likes it. And so that's impressive to me, because there's always a critic out there.
Always. And, you know, I have a lot of their systems. I won't deny that. But the base camp has this cheesy wind burner that it's kind of like a very flimsy plexiglass type thing. I wish they'd come out something a little different than that, that would be portable and fold up and have its own bag, because that I would lose my patience. I didn't have to use it, but if it's pretty windy out there, it could pose a problem for the base camp, or the Flash and the Mini Mo's and all that are a lot. In them, the Genesis don't have that, but it does come with a windscreen.
Well, and you know, the first I'm going to say 7 days we were out in New Mexico and Colorado, the wind blew like crazy. I mean, everywhere we went, the wind just blew like crazy. And we would have to situate our vehicles where our cooking devices would be away from the wind. It was just that bad. I mean, we're talking 15, 20 mile an hour winds.
At minimum. And
it was constant. It never let up. So your wife commented again, she likes the 17-inch Blackstone griddle for what you do. And you've cooked for me a lot on the Blackstone. And of course, you've got major skills with the Blackstone. It's so easy to cook with.
Yeah.
They're big, bulky, they're big and heavy. So if you're packing light, it's not really the way to go. But for ease of cooking, I don't see how you can get any better than that. They're real nice. But you know, I've experimented. I'm like Overland exploits. I've had the Coleman 2-burners. In fact, I've got like 8 of them out there right now and love them. They all have, and if you get an old one and you get the propane adapter for it, those burners you can't beat them. They're freaking amazing. And but the problem that I had with them was that I couldn't find the right size. They were either too small or too big. I couldn't find the one that was just right. And plus, you would have to get everything out and put that propane thing on there. It was just a little long. It took me a little too long to set it up. And it frustrated me.
Very frustrating.
Frustrated me a little bit. So, but you know, I could at any time go back to them because I loved having dual way to have fuel. You can have the Coleman fuel because all mine run off the red tank, and then I have the adapter for them, and it's perfect. I love having a backup system of fuel. But with the stove that I bought, it is so efficient. It is so hot and uses such little fuel that it does great. And with that 11-pound tank, I did not run out of. We were gone 3 weeks, and I did not run out of propane until the last day. So
cooked a lot with it.
I cooked a lot with it, and I cooked with the scuttle with it. I cooked on the regular stove with it, and we cooked every single meal. So it was not like we were pulling over and making lettuce wraps every day. I mean, we
Yeah.
cooked at almost every single meal. We had a hot meal almost every single time,
Yeah.
except the time when you decided to just eat chips. So,
Yeah.
and that was a couple times.
Yeah.
But you got
Frustrating day.
frustrated with your food. The black, let's see, it was black bean ramen. I think
Okay.
is what it was.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. That. Yeah.
yeah.
At the lake.
We were at Mirror Lake. You fixed the black bean ramen. You took 2 bites and you said, "I've got to find some place to throw this away. This is gross." And then you ate chips. So
Yeah.
that happened a couple times. You never know. We were trying stuff new. We were trying.
We were
something new.
prepared though. We had backups.
We had backups. We had backups. Now the deal that really surprised me was when we got out there, and you kind of after a couple days you kind of get in the groove of everything. You get out there, you set your tent up, get everything out, you go to cook dinner, you get in the groove. And I loved how I had my food organized.
Mm-hmm.
So, and in the back, I've got I guess it's an old filing cabinet that I got from a buddy. It's got 2 drawers. Bottom drawer, I keep food in. Now, I had taken 2 Artemis boxes, which are front runner packs. I'd taken 2 of those full of food. And what I would do was every couple of days, I would get those out and I would stock the thing in the back. So I would just cook out of whatever I had got in the back. I had my fridge set up as a fridge freezer. And I would move my meat from the freezer to the fridge. It would thaw out, it'd be ready, and it would be perfect. So I had my system going. I loved how I had my system going. So the food system was absolutely perfect for me. But what I didn't expect was how I would use my partner steel stove so little and how much I would use my jet boil.
Yeah.
That was shocking to me. Now, I had always used my percolator for coffee. But if you think about it, and if you know how to perk coffee, coffee has to perk for 7 to 8 minutes. So if you're using propane for 7 to 8 minutes, you're going to use a whole lot more propane than what you should. So you get it up to boil and you set it to perk for 7 to 8 minutes. Now, I got to thinking I could be a lot more efficient than that because the jet boil will boil water in 1 minute. And then my coffee cup, if you've seen me, you've seen this coffee cup. So this is my coffee cup. This coffee cup comes with a pour over stainless steel filter. So what I did was I thought, well, I could use butane, run it for 1 minute, or I could use propane and run it for 7 minutes. What is more efficient there? And what would save me from having to refill or buy more? Well, of course, it's the butane running for 1 minute. The jet boil is so efficient. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous how efficient it is.
Yeah.
Boil water for 1 minute, grind up your coffee, put it in here, pour it over. Amazing. Every time. Every time. And so I did not use this one time. Had it with me the whole time. Didn't use it one time. And I don't think I'm going to take it with me again.
Well, I mean, you're drinking coffee 6 minutes sooner than you'd.
Right. I wasn't having to wait on it.
Opinion.
It was a no-brainer for me. Being able to boil water in 1 minute. And when it's boiling, it's freaking hot. So you got to wait at least 2 minutes to start drinking it. Otherwise, you're going to burn your face off. But it's the same way with percolating. I mean, you're pretty much boiling the water. You've got to wait a couple minutes to drink it. But since my cup came with the stainless steel filter, there was no trash. All I had to do was take it, throw the grounds out, put them in the trash, and then put the lid on it, and I was drinking coffee. So that was perfect for me. Now, I know you pretty much did the same thing with the pour over too. It was a little bit different system, but you did the same thing because it was so efficient.
Yeah, I mean, I do that a lot of days here at home. If I'm here by myself and Mama's at work and I'm just jet boil and do some pour over on the tailgate of the truck. So, I mean, I do it quite often.
And Tony's become the same way. We've got Tony to become a coffee lover now. He had a what do you call the little thing with the little K cups?
The little Keurig.
Yeah, Keurig. And he was having it was costing him a whole lot of money to put one of them cups in and do it 3 or 4 times a day because he worked at home. Well, now he uses his jet boils water, and does pour over every day. And so he's done the same thing. And I have bought a new coffee maker for at home. I love how I can set the timer. It's done when I get up. But on like Saturdays and Sundays when I'm off and I can relax and do all that, yeah, I'm doing the percolator. But for efficiency, it was a no-brainer for me to be able to do that. Boil water in 1 minute, pour over, I'm ready, I'm done. And plus, it was little to no cleanup, and I was done. And it just totally blew my mind.
And you'd had it a long time before you even used it, was what was amazing to me. And once you use it the first time, you was like, oh, man, this is awesome.
And, and I bought the whole system when I bought it, too. I've got the Minimo. So I bought the Minimo specifically because after I read the reviews, the regular jet boil is tall and skinny. The Minimo is short and fat. Plus, that matched my shape at the time. And so it looked more like me. And so, but what everybody said was it's easier to eat out of because it's short and fat. You can get a spoon down in there. You can get a spork down in there to get noodles out. So it's easy to eat out of. So you don't have to mess up a plate, a bowl, or whatever you're cooking, whether you're making spaghetti, whether you're making ramen, or whatever you're cooking there, soup. You can just make it, heat it up, and eat out of it. You don't have a whole lot of mess to clean up. Now, that to me was worth it right there.
Worth its weight in gold.
Just like the shape of it. And I think that's one of the reasons you fell in love with it, too, was because of the shape of it, the size of it. And I think, you wanted one so bad. We went to 3 or 4 different places in Denver looking for one.
Couldn't find it.
We went to Bass Pro Shops. We went to Walmart. We went to a whole bunch of places looking for one. Nobody had one. So that's why you had one waiting when you got home.
Well, my Flash, it made coffee for a long time because I actually got the press kit that came with it. But I'd used it for a while. That would have been the only one I'd had until I got the base camp. But, it cooked the ramen, but I had to break it into pieces to fit inside the Flash because it's a different configuration. But I like the Minimo because you can just put the whole pack in there and be done with it. And the Mighty Mo has an actual handle on it, and it's just too big. You could actually cook a couple of cans of corn. It was a perfect all-around use jet boil system.
I agree. And Richard Brown says, I have a French press for my jet boil, and it works pretty good. Now, I have the French press as well, and there's another thing that I was having to take time because it comes with the little round disc that you put down in there. It comes with the little handle, and then you have to put it all together. And after I put it together a couple of times, I'm like, it's just so much easier to get this filter and just pour it over. And that's what made me do it. It was the ease and the quickness I love French press coffee. I think it's great, and I've drank it before. And if I'm not in a hurry, if we're not packing up to go somewhere, I don't mind it. But the pour over was so easy, and you actually use the paper filters. You had a fold out pour over thing, and then you use the paper filters. You just wad the paper filters up and throw it. You don't even wash anything out.
No.
And I've got one of those myself. I just didn't take it with me on this trip.
But now our favorite coffee comes in pour over bags.
I don't know who that is. Mason. Hey, Mason is in the house.
Hey, Mason, you guys need to go check out his Blue Line Overland page. He's raffling off a couple spots left. You need to jump in there if you're on the fence about a rooftop tent. Now's your chance to take a small price for a donation for Mason to do some of that fabulous work he does for the kiddos during the holidays. Help him out, and you might win yourself a Howling Moon rooftop tent.
That's right. Those 62s are really nice. That's actually what I had. That's what you had.
Yep.
Super good tent, super high quality. And Artemis hooked him up with that. And you can get in there for a little and nothing and buy a chance to win that. And I mean, you could get in there as little as what are the chances? $10, $20? I can't remember what he's doing those
10.
for. I think they're 10. And you could put a $10 chance in there and win a $2,000 tent. So go to Blue Line Overland on Facebook, send them a message or comment and get in on that. It's real easy to do and it'll be cool. Now, Paul and Vonna, Paul's Camp Chef Everest 2-burner. Okay, I've seen those. And those are good quality. Camp Chef makes some good stuff. 12-inch cast iron skillet. Love cast iron. There you go.
That's the big one.
Anodized aluminum Dutch oven. Now, I have not used the aluminum Dutch ovens, but I have been with people who uses them and they swear by them. I think Camp Chef actually makes those, the aluminum Dutch ovens. They're a third of the weight, same size, and you can actually use them as a camp oven. They have a camp oven lid where you can put on there. Percolator, Black Rifle coffee fan, and a saucepan. We cook over the campfire and the coals whenever possible, though. Portable folding grate and aluminum foil are my best friends for camp cooking. That's great. That's great, unless you go to Colorado, New Mexico, Wyoming, where there's
you can't have fires.
Always a burn ban. You can't have any stinking fires out there ever. I've been out there the past 3-4 years in a row. Still have not been able to have a campfire out there. Arla, thank you for being on here. Mason, we appreciate you, bro. Arla says, what's cooking? We got a lot of stuff cooking. We are talking about what we cook with. I know Arla does a lot of camp cooking of her own. I've had some of her stuff. She makes some pretty amazing things. And but anyway, we're going to talk about what we used and how we used it, and get right back to you after we take a little break. You're watching Perfect.
Hi, this is Jerry from Tembo Tusk.
This is Aaron with Artemis Overland Hardware.
Hi, I'm Matt.
I'm Kara from Ozark Overland Adventures.
I'm Adam with Oki Overland.
I'm Tate with Overland Spices.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Drew with Rock Squash Designs. Here with the Rock Squash.
This is Jeff. Glad I could visit you.
Hi, I'm Julie, the Overlander next door.
And I'm Phil from Down to Mob.
And you're watching.
And you're watching.
Professor
Bats.
Bats.
Bat crazy. Professor
Bats and Friends.
Professor Bats and Friends.
Professor Bats and Friends.
The Professor Bats and Friends.
Professor Bats and Friends.
Sponsored by Artemis Overland Hardware in Springfield, Missouri. More Expo. Tackform Mounts. Trail Rated Coffee. Linson Solar. Howling Moon Tents and Awnings. Big Iron Overland Rally, June 10th through the 12th in West Mineral, Kansas. Mountain Hatch. Lifesaver Water Filters. MC Ranch Overland. Snowmaster Fridges. EcoFlow. Timbo Tusk. Dow Dynamics Lighting. And our good friends at Midland Radio. Thank you for joining our show. No pros, just bros on this show. Thank you for being here. Here we go.
Okay,
Love
so
those
Richard
videos.
says I got to get one of those pour over cups. Now, I've had this cup. I've had this cup for, gosh, if you can see in there, you can see how
Long time. As long as I've known you, long time.
black as coal in there. I did break the lid. This is not the original lid. I had to go to Walmart and get one of their crappy lids to put on it. But this is made by Coffee Gator. Coffee Gator on Amazon. It actually comes as a kit with the pour over, and it's only like $19 on Amazon. And it is, let me tell you, this cup is lined with copper, and it will keep coffee hot until lunch. So if you don't drink it by lunch, or if you're not on your second cup, it will keep it hot. I promise you. I liked it so much, I bought a second one to keep at the office. So I promise you, you will not go wrong with the Coffee Gator cup. I think Tony bought him one too.
He did.
He liked it. So stainless steel filter cup, like 17, 18, $19. I can't remember what it is on Amazon. It may have went up by now because everything has went up by now. But
the GSI filters I use, you can either throw a paper filter in with it or use it as a filter. I think they're like $4.95 on most of the Overland Hardware sites. It's a great piece too.
I've got the folding where it folds down flat. I think that's what yours is. And
Yeah,
you
it
fold
does.
it out and you put the filter in it and you just take the filter out, throw it away. Actually, my daughter's got me that for Christmas because that's what I wanted. And so I actually may throw that in there because it folds down flat. And this one does not. It actually holds its shape. And, you know, I got it. I got it because a lot of people say if you have a filter like this, and I use a filter like this on my everyday coffee, and it actually lets some other stuff that the paper filters, it lets less
Block.
stuff comes through
Mhm.
that the paper filters do not. What did you call it?
Less. I don't know. I don't even remember what I said.
I can't remember what it's called. Yeah.
But I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's got good flavor in it, and that filter keeps it from getting in your cup.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, that's the coffee story. But I was impressed with the Jet Bull. I mean, we were out there 3 weeks. I use this Jet Bull every day, sometimes 3 times a day,
Yep.
almost every day, twice a day. I went through 2 of the regular size butane. That's all I did. 2. Because it cooks so fast, it cooks so efficient. Most of the time I was eating ramen. Now I was on a special diet where I couldn't have carbs. So what I did was I had taken some rotisserie chicken. I put in there, I had bought some freeze dried onions, and I had found, the little packet of freeze dried vegetables that goes in the ramen. I found where you could buy that in bulk on Amazon. And so I had bought some of that, put it in. I bought some mason jars that were plastic, and I kept it in those, and I put a little bit extra of that, and I threw the noodles away. Now, there was a couple days I cheated, and I broke off a little bit of the noodles and threw in there because I was just freaking hungry.
But it didn't even hurt you any.
Didn't hurt me a bit. There was even days where I had those pre-cooked soft noodles, and I took my little Skriddle, browned me some meat, and put some spaghetti sauce in there and made me spaghetti.
That looks so amazing.
It was so good. I put onions in it, put some of those freeze-dried onions, put some mushrooms in there, and it was so good. Single packets of ragu sauce was so good. And, even with all that, even with the cheating that I did, I had a beer every night just about, I still lost 10 pounds.
Yep.
So, I mean, we were out there, and if you're in the higher elevations, your blood's going to be thinner. You're going to be using more oxygen. You're going to lose weight. So, I wasn't really worried about it. Still hit my goal weight in the amount of time I wanted to do it, and it was fine. So, sorry, Richard. Headed to Amazon. I have I've made in my friendships throughout the years. A lot of my friends have spent a lot of money because
of you.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
Sitting here because of you.
Yeah. Arla says can't beat a hobo packet. Now, a hobo packet, I know what she's talking about. Putting like potatoes, meat, onions, peppers, all that, putting it in a full packet, putting it on the fire. Now, you have to figure out a way to do that on a propane stove because you can't have an open fire in Colorado, New Mexico, whatever, because there's always a fire ban.
A burn
ban. So anyway, you got to figure out how to do that. But yeah, I understand that those are so good. I love those. Those are amazing. Now, one of the things that we did was that it seemed like every time you cook something, you had a different method of preparing it. So how you prepared your meals depending on what cook system you got out. Now, how did you figure that out? Tell me what you did there.
Well, like if I was going to have, steak, obviously, I call it heat shrink, even though it's called vacuum seal, because in the line of work, when I'm doing that sort of stuff, it's heat shrink. But if I'm going to have steak,
heat shrink.
Yeah, I put it in a vacuum seal bag. But if I was going to have steak tacos, I went ahead and prepared the meat here, cut it up in small pieces, so I didn't have to do any of that while I was out on the road. But I had, 45 days worth of stuff in my vehicle. I had, clothes, food, canned food, dry goods and meat. I had that 64 liter refrigerator was plumb full. Could
Yes, it
barely
was.
get the lid closed.
Yes, it was.
But there was next to no prep the way I had planned my meals out. And then, some other people were supposed to be with us that backed out. So some of my packages of meat were larger. So that's why we cooked the big meals in Kansas, was to try to get rid of some of that stuff. But I tried to think ahead of what I was going to eat, what day, how I was going to eat lunch, breakfast. I'm not generally a 3 meal a day guy. I'm at, after the weight loss surgery. But if I ate breakfast, I wouldn't eat lunch. I'd eat a chip or something,
Right.
and then I would do dinner. But I would never do all 3 meals in a day's time. But I had each one of them planned out to basically revolve around the jet boil. I didn't plan on breaking the scuttle out unless we had a huge crowd that we was going to feed. But even when we did make the big breakfast and that big bowl of the red bean chili, I used the Genesis, and I foresee all of my gadgets leaving and the jet boil being full time. I've got enough of their systems to be able to do everything I need for the family, or if I'm out by myself.
Yeah.
Getting rid of that stuff.
Well, I was shocked at how I completely changed my go-to. My go-to went from the partner steel stove and the Timbo Tusk to the jet bowl. That was my go-to. And it wasn't because of, it was because of what I was eating at the time. And most of it was coffee and the ramen for lunch. Now for dinner, if we set up early enough, and you and I are a lot alike, we like to get to camp early, set up, have a little rest time before the sun goes down, and then set everything up and make a nice dinner before we sit around and go to bed. So for dinner, it would be a little more elaborate, and I think that's pretty normal for everybody.
Yeah, for most,
you have a easy, unless and I used to not be this way. I used to be a huge breakfast guy, but since I've gotten on this diet, I hardly eat breakfast at all. I mean, I get up and fix coffee. I'm not hungry in the mornings. I kind of do the intermittent fasting thing, from 7 to 7. So I'm trying not to eat early in the mornings, but there was a few mornings that we got up, we cooked bacon, we cooked eggs, but that would prolong our takedown time before we can move anywhere else. So most of the time we didn't eat breakfast. And if we did eat breakfast, we ate it for dinner. I cooked breakfast for dinner a lot while we were there, because meat and eggs were my go-to meal at the time. So I ate a lot of bacon eggs, a lot of ham and eggs, steak and eggs. And so that was, I was just shocked at how the jet bowl became my go-to. And I remember going to Walmart and buying a couple more of the butane cans, because I only took 2 out there with me, not thinking that I would use it very much, thinking it would be a backup, when it became the coffee maker and the lunch preparer pretty much every day. It totally changed everything. Now, when we went through and Tony met up with us, the very first night that Tony was with us, we, of course, we met up with Trail Rated Coffee, and met up with him, had dinner with him, had super visit, by the way. Awesome guy, small business, support small business, and order some Trail Rated coffee.
Great coffee.
Amazing coffee. Haven't found one that I don't like. So I want to tell you that it is super good, and he's a small business. Their family lives off of this, so support them. They need it. Now, but the first night that we camped with Tony, I mean, the very first thing he pulled out was his scuttle. I mean, that was his go-to cooking apparatus. He made some stir fry, I believe, and that was what he pulled out. Now, Tony's setup is completely different from mine. Yours is completely different from mine, because y'all have truck type setups where I have to open my vehicle and get inside my vehicle to get everything out. So it's a little bit different. I have drawers. You have the deck system, and then Tony has everything in totes, I believe is what he has, or the
Yeah.
Rome boxes.
The Rome box. Yeah.
Yeah, so we all had a completely different setup, but we all had similar tastes in what we have to cook with. Now, Tony's got that newfangled, and Arla may have to help me out on this. He's got that newfangled stove. I can't remember what it is. It's like the hyper light, super light. I can't remember what it is. But you know, I can't remember. Did he have a jet boil at all?
He had a mini mo. Yeah, he made his coffee with the
That's
mini mo.
right. I remember.
I don't, but I know he made coffee in it every day.
Right. He had just bought the mini mo, and I remember being jealous because he got the one that it was pretty and had mountains.
Yeah, that had the mountains cool cover on it.
Yeah, it was really cool. So we all had the jet boil stuff, and we all used it pretty much every day. I'm pretty sure Tony made it coffee with it every morning because that's what he even makes it at home now was pour over. Yeah. But now one thing that I was sent with something new to try out, and this was an idea that I had that I pitched to Jeff at Bad Ack Adventure Co. Now, this was kind of a top secret type deal. He kind of wanted it tested before anybody, before we put it out there, just to see if it would work. He had made a bracket that would go on a scuttle. Now, I hadn't used my scuttle until we got to Kansas. When we got to the Big Iron Rally, we were going to be there for 3 or 4 days. Hey, Misty. Misty's on here from Lady Overlander Radio. Thanks for joining us. So Jeff had I'd sent this idea to Jeff. Jeff had drawn it up on his CAD program and had actually one made. And he sent it to me to take on the trip. And he said, hey, try this out. Make sure it works. If it don't work, we're just going to scrap the whole idea. So he made it to where you can take the burner out from under the scuttle and put it on this little contraption that actually fits onto the scuttle. It's a little bracket. It just slides on there. And then you can, when you want to put the scuttle back on, you can just put the burner back in there. But what I discovered when we were at Big Iron, when I got all my stuff out, I was going to be in the cooking competition, so I got my scuttle out. And I just grabbed my mini mo, and here I'll show you all this. Who are watching? Here it is, right here. Let me see if I can get my light over here. So I don't know if you can see this or not. So can you see it? Let me turn the light up. Okay, there it is. So here's the scuttle, and then I took my mini mo, and I just set it right in the bracket, and I was able to have the scuttle to cook on, and I was able to set my mini mo on this to actually make my coffee, do my ramen if I wanted to. So it was kind of like a 2-in-1 type deal, and it just sits down in there. There's the mini mo, and here's the bracket, and all it is just a little bracket. It's got the little notches right here that you just slide over.
It's a genius idea.
Put on there, and it just fits on there where you can see things. Now I want to turn this back down because I'm going to show you. He sent this to me today. This is a world premiere right here. Okay, so he sent this to me today. Hang on, I gotta get my microphone back. Woo. So he sent this to me today. And I'm gonna add this real quick to the stream if it'll go. So the scuttle burner bracket. If you go to Bad Ack Adventure Co., that's BADAC adventureco.com. And if you go up and look under, I believe it is gear. You go up and look under gear, you will see this come up, and it will come up as the scuttle burner bracket. Now he is doing a pre-order on these, $59.99, and he's using my my photos that I took from Big Iron. You can see right there that I'm cooking on the scuttle. I actually have my mini mo that's on there. I don't remember what I was cooking at the time, but I was. This is a much better picture of it that I took of the bracket that's on there. It does not move. You put a burner on there, you put your mini mo on there, and it does not move. It cooks perfectly. You can get to your lighter, you can get to your adjustment, you can get to everything. So it fits so good. There's another picture of it right there. And it fits so good. It is a genius idea. Now, and I say that because I'm the one who thought of it. But anyway, it actually worked really well. It worked really well. And Jeff did a fantastic job. Now, we have talked about this. So go to Badack Adventure Co. You can go on there and you can pre-order one of these. He has a code on there. If you put Brofester as a code, you save $10. So $49.99 is what you get that for. Now, we had talked about this at length, and we had talked about, hey, do you want to do it in a steel version, a stainless steel version? Stainless steel will be lighter. It wouldn't rust. You don't have to powder coat. Now, the one that I have is steel. It's powder coated, and I can already tell that part of it's kind of chipping off. So he has decided to do all of them in stainless steel. So that price is for stainless steel, will not rust, and it will come and it will be perfect. It will last forever. One of the things that I made sure that he understood and was adamant about, it has to fit in the bag. So it fits in the bag with everything else. You don't have to pack it separately. So when you pack down your scuttle, this fits in the bag and it goes in there with it. So if you are a scuttle cooker, which I know there's a lot of people out there who love cooking on disc, but you also like to have coffee. You also like to have soup or ramen when it gets cold outside. You can have all that. So you got the best of both worlds in one thing. And all you have to have is a butane can, or you can take your burner that comes with the scuttle, take it out and just move it over and set it on top of there. I mean, it's amazing. It worked so good. I was completely impressed and absolutely love it. So I love it.
Yeah, that thing's pretty awesome.
It's so cool. I love it. I was very impressed. In fact, I was kind of wishing I had took it out a day or a week or two beforehand and used it because of how cool it was. So that was one of the things that I was very excited about and able to experience. In fact, I posted a picture of it, and then Mason, who is on here, he sent me a screenshot of it with it circled, and he said, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh boy!" So I took the picture down real quick, and I said, "I haven't talked to Jeff about this. Haven't even showed Jeff that the jet bowl fits in there. I was going to be a surprise." And so I was like, "That's top secret. Don't tell nobody." So anyway, it's public knowledge now, so you can go to Badack Adventure Co. and check them out because it is something cool. If you are a disc cooker and want something to go with your disc cooking, I would highly recommend that piece of gear. He says, "I'm ordering. You're minimized."
He can still hear our voice, though. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters, Mason. And by the way, you said earlier, all my funds go for your hand-me-downs. I was actually going to send you this one. But since you said that I'm minimized, you're not getting it. But no, I'm not giving this one up because I have the original. And that means a lot to me. That means a lot to me. And if you don't know Jeff, if you've never hung out with Jeff or had a beer with him around the fire or anything, you need to talk to Jeff. Jeff is the coolest guy besides me and Port that you will ever meet. He
was the first person I talked to at Moore Expo. That was the first item I bought was a 5-pound propane mount for my truck. So he is a fantastic guy.
Super guy. I love Jeff. I don't remember how me and Jeff got together. No, I don't remember how me and Jeff got. It was at the first Moore Expo, and he came by the booth. I was working at the Rhino Rack booth. He came by. We talked for a long time. Then at Big Iron, we had the campfire while the bands were playing. We came out, and he told some of the funniest stories I've ever heard in my life. Oh, I remember how I met Jeff now. Jeff went on a 45-day, like 3,000-mile trip with his wife, 2 kids, 2 dogs, 2 vehicles. And he was one of the first ones, he and his wife, I interviewed on the podcast. And just became real good friends with him. And Mason said Jeff is freaking awesome. Was great to finally meet him in person. Yeah, you need to meet Jeff. So another company that we wholeheartedly support because it is small business, family owned, and when you're supporting him, you're supporting him and his family. And his wife is a kindergarten teacher, and all those ladies, pray for them because they need prayer.
Absolutely.
But I was so excited about cooking devices and how everything changed, and I can't tell you how many conversations we had while we were backed up together and we were cooking, and I kept saying, I wish I'd left this at home. I wish I'd left this at home. I wish I'd left this at home. I don't need it. I'm not using it. And it's just taking up space. But when you're 1,000 miles from home, you're kind of stuck.
What can you do? What can you do with it?
You're kind of stuck with it. And next time it may change. But I tell you what, I got my money's worth out of my JetBoil.
Yes, you did.
During this, because it was a godsend for saving me propane. It made my propane tank last 3 weeks, which it's never done before, even with using it all the time. And it made it where I could use very cheap fuel for a long period of time because it's super efficient. And I don't know, how does your base camp, does it run off
green tanks,
green bottles? Okay.
Yep.
So
Or you can use the onboard propane as well for that.
that's right, because you have the hose where you can attach it to your 5-pounder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I tell you this, for all of you who are planning on, and a lot of people go out west because it's cooler. Yeah. I've got some friends out there who are running around Colorado right now, and I just griped at them on Facebook because they're out there wearing hoodies during the day. And here we are, and it's 108 degrees. But that's why we go out there, because the higher elevations, the cool temperatures. But let me tell you this, to be prepared before you go out there, it is hard to find butane. It is hard to find butane. So if you have a JetBoil that runs off the butane canisters, these canisters like this. Now this is a super big one that I got on Walmart when we finally found them. We had a really hard time finding the butane, and we had a hard time finding the long skinny butane for the heaters. But green bottles, I've never seen that many green bottles in my life.
Me either. Not me either.
We went to Walmart and they had 4 pallets, 6 foot high, complete pallet of green bottles. I've never seen that many in my life. So if you have something that runs off green bottles, don't worry about it. You can find them anywhere. But the butane canisters, the long skinny butane canisters that the Covea heaters run off of, or that some other stuff runs off of, couldn't find them anywhere. We went to one little town where we were waiting on Tony, and Porker went to, how many was it? 4
stores.
4 stores, and bought all they had, came back with 5 or 6 cans. That was
5. Yep.
Because we were out there in June freezing to death, and that was the only heaters that we had because we weren't prepared for how cold it was and the wind blowing. So just be prepared for that when you go out there. Just a little tip from the professor. So let me ask you this, Pork. Next time we go for a long extended trip, how is your cooking devices going to change from where you prepared for this time?
I'm probably not going to take anything other than the JetBoils. I won't take, because I'm more confident now, because every outing that I've had and every time I pulled them out to use them, they worked. So I'm kind of a redundant guy, as you well know. I always have a backup in case something fails. But as many systems as I have, I'll probably totally rely on the jet boil. And I have a pretty good selection of items of whether I want to do lunch meal for multiple people. I have enough of the stuff to accommodate that. So I honestly, and I don't get me wrong, I love my cast iron. You know how I feel about that.
Yeah, sure.
I love my scuttle, but they're a pain to clean. They're time consuming. They're heavy. I foresee myself focusing on every meal around the jet boils. So that'll be my next ride.
I tell you, the first thing I'm going to do is not take as much food. And we had talked about this. You know, we were going to be out in the middle of nowhere, but you were shocked at how many stores that we came across going from national forest to national forest to national forest. Now, there was a long period of time when we went from, I guess, from Colorado into Wyoming, that it was just like mom and pop type stores, but they still had groceries that you could buy.
Everything that you need.
Misty said, yeah, you took a lot of food. We took a lot of food. In fact, at the end of the trip, when we were in Kansas, you were just giving food away. You were cooking it, inviting everybody to come over. And
get in the freezer and get whatever you wanted.
Get whatever you want, take it out, because that'll save me fuel for the ride home.
We eat on it for 2 weeks when I got home. Didn't have to go to the grocery store.
Well, fortunately for me, I kept almost everything I had frozen. So when I got home, I just transferred it from freezer to freezer. I didn't lose anything. But as far as dry goods, food, we came across several stores. I will not take near as much as I took last time. I had a whole case of ramen, and that was just ridiculously too much. And we ran across a Walmart. We ran across a little mom and pop grocery store that we could restock at. Now, I did have a goal of paying for all my food before we went, so I wouldn't have to use that money for food. I could use it for fuel, and I did that, except for the 3 times we ate out. But safe, space saving, just saving space with all this food. I could have completely done away with one of my cases and made a little bit room for other things. So
yeah, I could have brought my little refrigerator instead of the big one.
That will be a change. Now, I tell you what I think I'm going to try. I think I am going to take my Adventure Scuttle. This thing is so small, and it's perfect for one person.
Perfect for one, yep.
Perfect for one. And the bag that it comes in is so cool. It's got the same burner and the bracket that Jeff made for the big burner. It'll work on this too.
I'm telling you.
Did you believe that?
I believe he planned that out, didn't he?
I don't think he planned that out, and I don't think he even knows because I haven't told him. But I mean, it all goes down real small. I can sit this on my tailgate or anything like that, and if I want to do a scuttle meal, it only takes a couple minutes to set it up, and it's real, and it saves a whole lot of space because it's so much smaller. I think I'm gonna take that. I actually got that to put in my motorcycle to take on my adventure motorcycle trips, and I think I'm going to use it for that too. Maybe even for kayak float trips or something like that. But I think it'll become my go-to.
Yeah.
Unless I have my trailer. If I have my trailer, I'm taking the Scuttle.
Taking the big one, yeah.
Because when we base camp, it's a completely different setup. If I just take the FJ, it's a completely different setup. So that's why I've got both, so I can base camp and I can, pack up, put up, pack up, put up, pack up, put up. So I never leave home without the Scuttle when I take the trailer.
Well,
but for the FJ, I think the Adventure Scuttle is going to be perfect.
Well, I can't honestly say that I won't take my Scuttle because there'll be times that we plan for stir fry, and I'll always cook the big stir fry meals on the Scuttle. So, if we plan a trip and that's one of the meals, I'll definitely take it. But it'll be it'll get used whether it's here at home or out on a trip. So, because I do love it. As much crap as I talked about it after I got it, I do like it.
Yeah, and I definitely am going to plan more quick meals. Probably do like some Uncrustables, sandwiches, meat, cheese crackers, stuff like dried meat, like summer sausage, crackers, cheese, because there's a lot of times that we never stopped.
Yep.
We didn't stop to cook lunch. We ate going down the road. So it was
You
fun.
you ate going down the road.
I ate going down the road. You ate
I
chips
couldn't
going
get to
down the
none of it.
road.
Couldn't get to none of it. Had too
Now,
much crap.
I tell you what we did do. We had a lot of sausage, like the link sausage, and I would cook that in the mornings, and the leftovers I would put in a baggie, and I would sit that right beside me, and I'd eat that going down the road. That was awesome. That was awesome. So that worked out real good. And you had a ton of sausage
Yes,
that we
a
cut
ton.
up in, small pieces. I'd throw it on the griddle or my little cast iron thing and cook it up, and whatever we had. I just go ahead and cook all of it. I knew I couldn't eat all of it, but I cooked all of it, and then I put it in a baggie and I'd eat it going down the road. So that was
That was this sheer accident because I actually thought I had grabbed some boudin, and I'd actually brought like 20 pieces of sausage instead of boudin.
Man, it was a lot of it. But I mean, that was perfect for me because I was on like a meat, egg, and cheese diet.
Yeah.
And when you handed me that, I'm like, hey, this is heaven. So that worked out perfect. But I think next time it's going to be completely different. I have already changed out in my vehicle to prepare for this fall when we go out again, and removed some stuff, added some stuff, and completely changed everything. Sasha says this has been such an information-packed show, including counting how many times my hubby said I bought such and such while I was out there. Well, it is confession for some of us. I can tell you, let's see. There are several things that I purchased out there that I have zero regrets. The
blanket.
The one was my puffy blanket. Now, I have always wanted a rumple. They've had these for a while. I've wanted, one that had the design on it. We walk into Bass Pro Shops in Denver because we had to wait on Tony for a little while. And I said, I'm getting it. So I got Smoky Mountain National Park. It's got bears on it. Love it. It's perfect color, black and orange. Matches everything that I got. And it kept me warm, and it packs down to this. So
it made a world of difference.
Rumple, highly recommended. Highly recommended. And then all the gear, like this shirt that I got from Jared and his new gig that he's done.
ShopOverlandApparel.com.
Overland Apparel. So I'd go to Shop Overland Apparel. You can get your own fat fesser on here. And so this is before the skinny fesser. And get your Professor Bats and Friends shirts. You can get some Bro Nose shirts. You can get Ozark Overland Adventures. You can get Big Iron Overland Rally. You can get just about anything you want.
Patches.
Coddy Wample's got stuff on there. Everybody's
Blue
got
Line. Everybody. All the cool people's
Overland
over
there. So that's a pretty cool thing. And I would highly recommend you getting some of that. So I've got to buy new clothes because none of my clothes fit. And I will be going on there and making a purchase here pretty soon because I'm tired of wearing clothes that just like fall off of me. Anyway. Well, man, such a good show. I appreciate you coming on here, bro.
Glad to be here. Hope I didn't let Tony down by filling in the free shoes. I hope he gets to feeling better, but I'm always here for you guys.
Well, I know you are, and I greatly appreciate it. We've had you on before, and we will have you on again because you are full of it. And by full of it, I mean information, good information that we all can use. And if you're ever out in West Virginia, if you ever want to not go west and you want to go east and you want to head out into the Appalachians and see the beauty that is out there, give old Porker a call. Almost Heaven, West Virginia, Overland, and he will set you up, tell you where all the good places are, take you out, show you around, and he'll be your best friend while you're out there, I promise. Sure will. Maybe even give you some beard butter. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Never know. So anyway, thank y'all for joining us. This has been an action-packed show. You could have been anywhere, but you chose to be here. and I am excited that you were here. We got to talk about some cool stuff. Join us next week, same bat time, same bat channel. Hopefully Tony will come back from the dead and join me again. And until then, watch out for number 1 and don't step in number 2. Hope you have a good day.
Join us next week.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Boom.
Professor and Friends 2022.
Woo-woo. Thank you for watching.
Professor Bats and Friends.
Professor Bats and Friends.
Professor Bats and Friends. Ka-chow.
Joey the Professor and Bats and Friends.
Professor Bats and Friends. Woo!